Few things in life give us chills, goosebumps, make us feel truly deep emotions. The smile of a child, the wagging of our dog, or the hug of a loved one, these are all beautiful things, but not comparable to the brilliance that emanates from a $100 bill. And I'm sure that up to this point we all agree. Having said that though, Mr. Albert Einstein would seem to have some objections to that, and in this video we will see what, for Einstein, represents true happiness in life. As usual, if you like this video, I ask you to kindly give me a thumb up and to share it if you think a friend or acquaintance could benefit from watching this video. Thank you, and let's get started. Were you to ask 3 random people on the street what happiness was for them, you would likely get 4 different answers. For this concept is elusive, changing based on the person, circumstances, or even time of day. It's something people strive for, yet often can't quite reach. If told they could get the secret to happiness, most people would pay thousands or even millions of dollars to get it. Well, to start, let's travel back in time. The choice of Achilles. In one of the most poignant scenes of the Iliad, as retold by the ancient bard Homer, Achilles mentions the choice that had been given to him at birth by his mother, the goddess Thetis. Live a short, unhappy, but glorious life, and be remembered for all eternity. Or, live a long, happy, peaceful life, but be soon forgotten. Achilles chooses to strive for glory. Constantly fighting and struggling, he kills Hector, the great defender of Troy, but in turn is dispatched to the afterworld by Paris' expert arrows shot into his heel. His outtakes pass into legend, still discussed thousands of years later as the epitome of a hero. Yet, if you examine the text of Homer's epic carefully, you will see that Achilles was wavering as to what road to take. Initially, he was leaning towards returning home to live a life of peace and happiness. Somehow, deep down, the great hero knew this would be the best personal path to follow. The path of Einstein. Fast forward thousands of years later. In 1921, Albert Einstein is at the top of his game. He is accorded that year's Nobel Prize in Physics. The brilliant scientist goes on extensive tours abroad, engaging in lectures and receptions, and sharing his knowledge with the crowds. As part of his itinerary, Einstein visits Japan the following year. The story goes that, as he was exiting his hotel in Tokyo, a bellhop came up to him to deliver something. For some unknown reason, Einstein didn't give him a tip as is customary, but instead took out a pen and paper and wrote something down. According to the discoverer of the theory of relativity, the chase for money, power, and influence is tiring and a source of constant restlessness. Instead, a calm and modest life brings more happiness than the never-ending pursuit of success. Take a step back and think about what Einstein was saying here. What most people in the modern world consider the point of life is wrong. In direct contrast to the preachers of 21st century hustle culture, the man whose name came to symbolize genius believed a calm and modest life was where the sweet spot of existence resided at. In the place of Achilles, he would have advised him to take the path of a long, peaceful life. Einstein's philosophy of life. Albert Einstein was an admirer of Baruch Spinoza, the 17th century Jewish Dutch philosopher whose family had emigrated from Portugal and Spain. It is from this great thinker that he drew much of his life philosophy. In many ways, Spinoza's life epitomized Einstein's idea of a calm and modest existence. Offered a professorship and a big chunk of money, he turned it all down to live a simple life, making and grinding lenses. While staking out a meager living, Spinoza's choice offered him something more valuable, the space to pursue his own ideas in complete freedom. Just like Spinoza, Einstein didn't care much for distinctions or money. His priorities were elsewhere. In a famous 1929 interview, he went further into describing what made him happy. Quoting Albert Einstein, "I am happy because I want nothing from anyone. I do not care for money. Decorations, titles, or distinctions mean nothing to me. I do not crave praise. The only thing that gives me pleasure, apart from my work, my violin, and my sailboat, is the appreciation of my fellow workers." Einstein then continues with these words. "I am sometimes sorry for men like Ford. Everybody who comes to them wants something from them. Such men do not always realize that the adoration which they receive is not a tribute to their personality but to their power or their pocketbook. Great captains of industry and great kings fall into the same error. An invisible wall impedes their vision. Einstein's ideas echoed the wisdom of the ancients. Their ideas withstood the test of time. It is undeniable that the enlightened Greeks and the old Oriental sages had achieved a higher level in this all-important field than what is alive in our schools and universities. Albert Einstein. This Einstein statement hints at something profound. And unlike many Einstein quotes, this one is real. It shows that Epictetus' idea for limiting your wants, or Buddha's preaching to let go of your ego, are much more conducive to living a good life than their modern alternatives. Living modestly doesn't mean you should stop striving for stuff. In fact, Einstein is famously quoted as saying you should tie your life to achieving goals. To explain the type of effort we want, we can turn to a 19th century German great of philosophy, Friedrich Nietzsche. His notion of the will to power describes the inner forces that drive a person's acts in the world. Yet, this will can be manifested in different ways. It has often meant the quest of certain individuals to try to dominate others. It has also been behind the urge to get fame, power, and riches. Applying Einstein's insights, these however are the wrong avenues to take. The will to power can also be manifested in the never-ending quest for self-improvement, for knowledge, and for creativity. This is also the best way to induce flow, the state of mind where you are so immersed in an activity that you don't notice the time go by. Some psychologists have posited that this is the state most akin to happiness. Albert Einstein echoed this view, and in a letter to his son shared this as his secret to learning almost anything. That is the way to learn the most, that when you are doing something with such enjoyment that you don't notice that the time passes. I am sometimes so wrapped up in my work that I forget about the noon meal. Words of Albert Einstein. Instead of striving to control other people, to get rich, or powerful, Albert Einstein tied his life's meaning to figuring out how the world works. This didn't require him to own lots of houses, cars, or post selfies of himself on social media. In fact, when people tried to thrust him into positions of power, such as becoming the president of Israel, he politely declined. How to apply in your life. Armed with this basic idea of what really constitutes a good life, you can start thinking of steps how to apply this advice to your life. Of course, there is no precise formula for happiness. As human beings, we all have different needs. Our situations are different. Therefore, the way to achieve a peaceful and happy life may not always be the same. Everything is relative, as Einstein said. However, Einstein's insight into what brings happiness in life applies regardless of circumstances. The Nobel laureate used thought experiments to determine how the world works. You too can use the same method. Remember that with time, anything is possible. As Einstein noted on the second paper he handed to the delivery man, when there is a will, there is a way. If you enjoyed this video, I recommend you check out the video Master Your Mind, 7 Lessons from Einstein on Living a Fulfilled Life, which you can find on this channel. Be sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss future videos if you haven't already done so. Have a great day and see you next time.